Being 6:30, I'll bring this meeting of Westminster Select Board to order. Anyone who's participating by Zoom, just speak up and say your name clearly, please. All right. There we go. Any adjustments to the agenda?
I have a third errors and omissions on under 6E.
And I think we're going to have an executive session. Is that correct, about the town clerk position?
Yes, you have B, 5B, that you can turn it into an executive session if need be. It should be added there.
Yeah, well, if she isn't, then we don't have to have it. Or we can.
She's planning on it.
Is she?
Yes,
Yeah.
she is.
Yeah. Acceptance of the minutes of the meeting of August 26th.
The minutes is printed. Can you hear me?
Everybody have their mic on?
I do, thank you.
You're welcome. It's been, is a motion to accept the minutes of August 22nd? 26th. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, I guess. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed. They're accepted. Now the minutes of the meeting of September 2nd. We have a motion to approve
I'll move
those.
that we approve the minutes as printed.
Did you see them? Is there a
Second.
moved and seconded to accept the minutes of the meeting of September 2nd? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Those are adopted. Communications and public comments. There being none?
Yes, no.
Yes, we have.
Oh, we do.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Madam Chair and members of the board, members of the public, good evening. Yesterday, September 8th, I had the pleasure of receiving an email, which I forwarded on to the town manager and the chair from citizen Michelle Boslin regarding Henwood Hill Road. And I wanted to share that communication with the community. And Michelle said that she was glad to see a mirror and railing going up around the curve near her house on Covered Bridge, Henwood Hill Road in Westminster. 2 lanes would be a safer option, but since that is apparently cost prohibitive for the town for now, the steps the town has taken are an improvement. Thank you for taking steps to address this issue. I am wondering if it would be possible to add a sign in both directions where instead of just saying, quote, single lane, end quote, it could also say, quote, dangerous curve, end quote, and have a reduced speed, perhaps 15 miles per hour, but she has an open question mark with there. Even the mirror, even with the mirror, pardon me, it is not easy to see around the corner, and the corner is still dangerous. Thoughts, Michelle?
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, so I think given the fact that Michelle does live there on the road and has obviously considerable experience with the road at all times of the year, what goes on up there, that we should take her recommendations perhaps under consideration and see if it's feasible and or prudent to do so. I mean, certainly for me, I just personally, I don't see anything wrong with. In fact, it's probably prudent to put the reduced speed sign there. At what place exactly you would posit that? I mean, that's up to the experts on the road crew. The single lane also too, and again, not having driven it, to me also sounds something that's reasonable, and or the dangerous curve, but something that certainly is demonstrably more present. So people who are driving on the road will take a second look and make sure that they slow down and be a little bit more careful until at such time in the future we could maybe get back to the 2 lanes or the expansive corrections. At this point, though, too, I do want to thank the road crew, town manager, and everybody for doing the job they did. And I saw that myself as a citizen that the guardrail was in. Seems like they did a very, very good job. But those are my feelings. So I'd like to hear what everyone else has to say.
What is the speed limit now, Russ?
The speed limit now is 35, and that's as far as you can go. Select boards in the state of Vermont can only regulate between 35 miles an hour and 50. If you want to go lower than that, it is a petition with the state, and they will determine whether that's a viable speed limit. It has been known that some requests have gone sour, meaning they actually boosted the speed limit. In this case, that probably is not going to happen. But will they go to that extreme? Probably not. We can definitely try to.
We have tried to go through it before, and he's right. But maybe we should go out there and look. I drove up in one is. The road is as wide as ever was, but it shows you how dangerous it was because now it does seem narrow. But when you look where the guide rails are, that's as far as you'd ever want to go with your out on the outer car. It does. So it looks like, yeah, the corners, but it's a long ways from the corner all the way to that driveway where it really is single lane. And I'm just questioning, do we actually put a stop sign so they stop before they go flying down there and then take off? Or maybe we should place a visit for just to see what we get through for this year, but it's definitely a lot safer.
Yeah.
The problem is when they come up around the corner, somebody's gonna have to back all the way up
Oh, yeah.
to go around. But it's not, it just looks a little narrow, but it's not really narrow. It just shows you how dangerous it was to a car going over the edge.
Yeah. Well, 35 seems outrageously high for that. So, yeah. So I think at the very least, we should petition the state to reduce the speed limit to 15 and see what we can get.
We can try, but it takes a while too. They have to get them out to do a study and then they come back to us. And I'm just questioning, Russ, we have a right to put stops or yield signs though, right? I mean, it makes you question who has the right of way when you're on a one way. You see what I'm saying? Do you actually put a yield sign on, let's say you're heading south, so that those people stop and yield to give because otherwise you get halfway and who backs up on it? If you, I think you got to go out and look at that, how that came out, and you'll see what I'm talking about on it. You got plenty of room on the corner now. That's the funny part. You can actually pass on the corner. So as you come up around the corner, do you have a person say yield before you go all the way down through the flat? Because that person would have to back all the way up. I think it does warrant just one more quick visit to see.
While we're doing that, if we're going to petition the state, then we might as well ask them for their expertise in what signage would make sense in that area.
Yeah, I would be, if I were a person who had not driven there, a yield sign would confuse me greatly.
Stop would even be worse, I think. So
Right,
we need
right
to-
in the middle of the road, stop for what?
So we would need to ask them
Uh-huh.
for their opinion, and I would think,
Okay,
and but I can definitely get that process started.
all right. That
Are we,
seems,
are we still planning on cutting into that bank any this year, or is that?
No,
I thought this year we were not doing that.
we're done with
we
what we
weren't
were
talking
planning
about
this year.
the big project, but
Right. But
we
we,
had discussed opening that corner up a little bit.
haven't we spent all our money though for this year? close?
I
Not,
haven't got the bill yet, and of course it was just installed, but yes, we're very close to having our
but Russ,
maximum.
we spent the amount of money that we had set aside to hire, but we haven't spent, in that estimate you gave, we were spending how much a year for the crew to do work? We haven't spent any of that money yet.
That's correct.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So going back to what we've been talking about, yes, theoretically, we set money aside for our crew to do so much work
Mhm,
each year on it. And we haven't spent any of that.
mhm. So there's still a possibility of just
It
cutting into that
might not
corner.
be a bad idea to meet there with Chuck and with our
Let's
town
say
meeting.
Time is committed now.
Yeah. It's getting kind of late, but yeah.
Yes, it is. And so if it stays mild for a long period of time this
Mhm.
fall, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's all that it requires, cutting back that bank a little. We talked at one point about needing a retaining wall, but do we know that? We had talked about getting an engineering study to see what else would be required if we were just cutting into the corner.
That's correct. That's why it kind of got on hold, is
Mhm.
because we never knew what scope of
Right,
work to go. If we're
Yeah.
just going to take that, just the immediate bottom
right.
down and slope what we've got, we can try that. And then if that didn't do it enough, then
Uh-huh.
we need to look at it next
What if-
year for something more substantial.
What if we did what what we're doing to all these roads where we're, cutting the ditches back and lining them with stone? I mean, that would gain us 3 or 4 feet. And it would be stone, so you could see it.
Yeah, and we could stone up the bank.
And if it didn't work, then
Exactly.
I just think we can discuss a while. It's really warrant for us to take a quick visit with Chuck. Just look at it. It's already getting near dusk and 6:30. So if we plan on doing it in 2 weeks, as
Uh-huh.
long as we met before 6,
Okay.
it wouldn't be a bad idea to take a
So
quick
you want
look
a
at it.
site visit?
I think we should.
Yes.
It came out a little different. I mean, if we're all standing there
Yeah.
looking at it, we totally changed that road
Yeah.
just by doing what we did. Definitely made it safer.
Mhm. Do we want to meet at, say, 5 or 5:30 and then meet at 6, have the regular meeting at 6, or is that a problem for people?
I think 5:30 would be early enough because then it gives us enough time to come here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's
So
do
site
that then.
visit at Henwood, 5:30, next meeting, and then it's going to resume right
Here,
there?
yep.
or are we-
No, I would come back
Yeah,
here.
we come back here.
We should have time to come back here by 6:30. And we'd still warn the meeting for 6:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on Henwood Hill at the moment? Okay, good. Unfinished business, Savage Gravel Pit. We had our committee get together. Do we know any more? Mr. Beebe?
nope, I don't believe so. We have not met yet, so.
Okay. How does that stand, Russ? Do we know?
We are being, what's the right word, not pressured, but he is not going to wait forever. We do want to
Mhm.
give him an answer sooner than later, so we should
Mhm.
get right after it and be able to tell him within the next couple weeks, thumbs up or thumbs down.
Can we get a recommendation by the next meeting, Sheldon?
I don't know because I know him personally. It's more the fact that
Mr.
we at
Savage.
least told him that they're going to have a meeting on it and, just an update that we're
Right.
going to be having a committee on it. So that's all.
There's no update on information on there, is there, Russell?
No, there isn't. We're not expecting any more information.
We have all the information.
That
That's,
we have.
okay. So the information is there. We just need to get a recommendation from our experts. Okay, thank you. Anything else? Town clerk position, update.
I have we ran the ad in the shopper for 6 days, 3 for 2 different times. The Reformer for a weekend and the Gazette. So
Mhm.
that's what we've done so far.
Okay. Okay. And so do we want to make a motion for an executive session and then Ally's here and so.
She's going to wait, right?
Yeah,
I'll make a
Should be
motion that we
quick.
go into executive discussion, executive session to discuss the town clerk position that's being advertised.
Seconded.
For personnel reasons, actually.
I was
Yeah.
just going to ask you what it's for. But
Yeah,
that's
for
for personnel
personnel
reasons, and we
yeah.
invite in our town, well, it's not our town, Ally, and who else is being invited into the meeting?
I think that's. it.
Just Ally?
Yeah.
Okay.
Second that.
Moved and seconded to go into executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, no. And we'll do that after 10. Tax sale results.
Just an FYI, the property did not sell again this year. There is a process that legal counsel will follow now after two times of failure. They do some legal procedures, but the rest of them did sell. And it should be noted that John Shaddis' family responded to all three properties and paid the back taxes plus interest and plus the interest to the people that actually bought the property in Texas. So we have yet to hear from Hutton and McAllister.
Thank you. Petition signatures for allocations. I noticed there were some letters on that I didn't get a chance to read yet, but.
It's a accumulated group of emails and letters that we've received asking for the Westminster Select Board to waive the requirements of signatures because of COVID. When it was first given to us, Patty, with Allison's permission, asked the Secretary of State for their official response because they are in charge of the portion of the allocations that a select board has to look at every year. And I gave that to you 2 meetings ago, but I put it in the packet again because it's very important to know that the select board don't have the authority to change this. But they are, the state is looking at changing that requirement, but they haven't come with it yet. So it's still a work in progress. I've explained that to all of them. And the library, those two have asked about it. And they understand that we're on hold right now. Unless, I'm sorry?
Mhm.
I'm sorry.
You need, yeah.
So anyway, that's
But
the
what,
process.
what is this from Jim Matto? So he said a memo from VLCT says other select boards allow agencies, blah, 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 that had an appropriation approved the last annual meeting to be included on the warning without a petition.
It's
if
in
it's the
your,
same or
it's
less.
in your packet. I copied everything. It's the VLC model service appropriation policy that is changing our policy completely from what you normally do to allowing this to happen. So it would take time. We'd have to get response to it. And that's why it's in your packet, so that you have time to look at it. And if you deem this as being valid, then you need to address it quickly. And
So this is not in conflict with the state statute as declared by Will Senning?
Ally.
Oh, thank you, Ally. Yes. Uh-huh.
And at this time, it's too early to tell.
Yeah.
It's yes, it's September, and I know they require 125 signatures.
Right.
to get on our proposal.
We can't hear anything she's saying, Susan.
Yeah. Yep. There you go, Ally.
Sorry about that. Okay,
So
so
you're a little closer there. Yep.
am I good? Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. So we go by what the Secretary of State tells us is what we can do. And
Okay.
basically, Will Senning is saying it's too early to even talk about this.
Yeah.
Legislature is just going back into session. They haven't talked about it yet. So whatever VLCT is saying, I'm sorry I didn't educate myself on that. But as I said, we go by what Secretary of State
Yeah.
tells us.
Okay.
And right now, they're requiring signatures.
Right. So it's still the same. Okay.
Yes.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else on that? Draft of new personnel policy. Update, if any.
Hey, Susan,
Yep.
they may not be familiar with,
Is this Nate?
I'm sorry, it's Nate Stoddard.
Yep. Okay.
I think there's some folks here from BDCC. I'm not sure if they're familiar with your process for this and if they are looking to speak or not, but there are some folks from BDCC on this.
Sure. Hi. Yeah. This is Adam Grenold. I'm the executive director with the BDCC. Thank you. I'm here primarily to advocate for the ability to not require the signatures for the petitioning. We work with 24 communities in Windham region, many of which are able to make this decision internally. So we would be happy to try to advocate for that and support that and help find any information you may need. We've found that we've been able to be successful in gaining the necessary signatures to be on the petition for 4+ years now. So it's not so much a question of whether or not we can do it. It's really a question of safety of the people we're soliciting, the people who are providing it, and whether or not it's necessary, and then whether or not this board wants to make that requirement for all folks petitioning, not just us. It does seem like an opportunity to give that a review, and we'd be happy to help support that however we can.
Thank you. Yes, we have your letter too. And I think what Ally is saying is that it's the state Office of Elections that sets that precedent. That's what you said, Ally, right? Right. It's not the select board that makes that decision, but perhaps addressing your legislators. You got it. Your legislators on this issue at this point might be the most crucial thing to do, because they are the ones who are going to be making this decision.
Sure. Yeah, I will point out though that other communities are able to make that decision, so there does seem to be a conflict in the guidance.
What
yeah.
community-
Hi.
Go
Sorry. This is Sarah. I'm Sarah Lang. I also work with BDCC and sort of head up the petitioning and town fundraising. What Adam's speaking about is so we do ask all towns within our service region for this funding, and there's a range of responses as far as how that process works. Really, there's only at least this year, 3 towns that are asking us to petition. There are other towns that either just put us as a separate article into their town warning straight away without petitioning. There are towns that add us to their appropriation article, which has all of the organizations within that one article asking for funding. So I'm not an expert on what the select board can and cannot do. However, through the experience of running this program or this process for the past couple of years, there are multiple communities that do not require us to petition and just put us directly onto the town warning for town meeting day.
Maybe you could tell us the names of a couple of those. I'm quoting from the letter of August 24th from Will Senning, Director of Elections. At this time, signatures are still required to place items on the ballot for annual meeting, as that was not addressed in any of the legislation and our authority under the directives expires at the end of this year. That cannot be changed by the select board as it is state statute. It would require action by the legislature. I'm not sure exactly why towns would be able to directly contravene that decision.
You know,
Uh,
it might be under the fact that we've always had a policy that if they ask for it and get it 3 years in a row, then we automatically put it on and we don't ask for any more. We automatically put it in our budget. Being that this group has not gotten what they ask for every year is why they have to keep coming back.
Well, I think there are a couple of others that are also doing
Yeah.
that. So,
But what I'm trying to say, maybe one of those other towns, they just asked for the same, got it for 3 years in a row, and they
Mhm.
decided they didn't need to ask anymore.
Well, there are towns that we have never petitioned in, and have been put straight onto their town meeting warning. So I have my list up here. For instance, I believe the town of Dover, I believe the town of Grafton, I believe the town of Londonderry, I believe Putney, Rockingham. Those are just a few examples of the towns that do not require us to petition.
In Brattleboro, Sarah.
And Brattleboro, thank you.
So Sarah, what maybe we can do to help out here, because obviously tonight is not an opportunity for decision. We would love to bring some additional research to this and share that with you folks. And wherever that lands, just know that we were really looking to get to the solution here that prevents putting our team and the public at risk. And with an understanding that, you know, if the next year we come back and you say, no, we would really like to have you petition again, if it's a safe environment, you know, we're happy to do that.
Right.
great. Thank you. That would be very helpful.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for
Wonderful.
Thank
That
you.
was Adam. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to comment on that at the moment? Okay.
I go with the legislation.
What's that?
I said I go with the legal
The
document that we have in front of us.
election? No. I'm not sure why other towns can do it, but maybe we'll be finding that out. That would
Like
be good.
Brattleboro, I know has already gone through they've gone through their 3 years or 5 years or whatever it was for petitions. I know that, and they've got their money there every year.
Mhm.
I don't believe we've ever petitioned in Brattleboro.
I'm gonna say Brattleboro, or I didn't mean Brattleboro, I said Bellows Falls.
Rockingham, maybe? Okay. There you go. Anything else? Draft of new personnel policy.
Which still working on him.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Winter road policy update.
In your package, you have the winter and spring road maintenance policy. Is added on page 2, let's see the spring road.
Can't hear him.
Chuck Lawrence has added the bud and spring road maintenance to that document that you received last meeting. And now it just came in today, so I pushed it into so if you're interested in a copy, just let me know. And, but it does cover not just plowing and winter maintenance, but mud season and spring road maintenance.
Mhm. Okay.
So I don't expect an answer tonight, but we do need to react to it next meeting. So if everybody could read it and get back to me with any changes that they would like to see, that would be probably beneficial.
Okay. We'll do that. Any other unfinished business? Let's move on to new business, venue for winter meetings. It sounds like we're going to continue under this regime. So what do you
So far,
think?
this is better than outside.
Yeah.
The state police barracks, we do know now, is closed until at least January 1st
Mm-hmm.
for communities to use their meeting room.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, I think
very
this,
limited.
this works well if, I mean, we have plenty of room if people want to come in and is fire department's okay with this?
So far,
Okay.
yep, I asked for the inside and he had no meetings tonight. Said Wednesdays are good meeting nights because
Okay.
there isn't anything.
Yeah. Good. What do you think? Continue here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
If they'll have us.
If they'll have us, right. Maybe they can let us know ahead of time if they won't, so we can scramble. Town land, new offer.
In your packet, you have a counteroffer for the land of $24,500 from Kyle Spalding for the 19.1 acres on Pine Banks Road, previously known as the Zudnik property.
He's basically matched our price that we asked for. So,
That's
Mhm.
correct.
so isn't that good news?
That is great news.
Really good news.
Okay.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like was much reaction.
You
That's all.
need, you need a motion to accept the offer?
I do.
Go ahead. You were the one that came up with that price. Yeah. Congratulations, Sheldon. Okay.
I just asked how much we had into it.
Yeah.
If I can find them.
Mhm.
I make a motion that we accept Kyle Spalding's offer of $24,500 for, I'd really like to have the tax number on this on the thing, but I guess I'm not gonna have it.
Is there an address or a, it's on-
I'm sorry, there's not an address, nor is there, I don't have. I did say it was
Yeah.
the former Zudnik property.
okay.
All right, well, I'm gonna have to do it because we don't have the number for it.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded to accept the offer of $24,500 from Kyle Spalding for the Zudnik property. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Excellent.
Good job, Russell.
Yeah, done with that.
Very good job.
New tax rate.
We have received in your packet, you have the new homestead tax rate for the education. We assumed a 3% increase, and it came in at 5.2%. So the second adjustment billing will be a slightly higher than it was this past time. So in February, folks will be seeing a bright green tax bill, and it will be adjusted to meet the 5.2% increase in the homestead tax rate. And again, the one that's been printed and given to people due tomorrow was only at 3%.
Hey, Russ, is it, whenever we see the non-homestead tax rate less than the homestead, isn't that because the school's being penalized for being over their numbers? That's because it usually was, the homestead rate should be less, right, than the non-resident?
Ally, can you answer that?
It should be noted that that's not the town of Westminster, that's your education tax
Right.
because of their late voting.
Mhm.
And when I first came on here, the non-res was higher than the residential.
Right.
And the state switched that around to kind of keep our second home people coming up. So they're not basically penalized for the higher education rate. So just a few years ago, that changed, that the homestead was lower than the non. So I don't know.
Well,
the
we
answer
were,
to that question is
yeah.
no, I don't know, but
when we were on, and when I was on involved with that school, they said that the non-residents should be higher unless a school, according to state, is over per capita or per student. Then as it gets higher, because the non-resident can't vote on the school budget. So it kept the school budget from, like, if you're average, you'll be below the non-resident. But if you're above average, so I don't know if that's changed, but that's what
Well,
it,
if you were on the school board, you'd know better than me. But
Yeah.
I do know it flip-flopped about 4 years ago.
that's when our cost per student was higher than what the state average was, and they started penalizing us. Last I knew, I didn't know unless something changed.
And just for a point of interest, the non-homestead rate did go up 6.1% from last year. So they both went up, but
Mhm. Has there been any indication of why that increase was so much higher than we?
then the estimated, no. I've not received a
Mhm.
explanation of it.
Would there be anybody on the school board that could even explain it? You know?
Well, it's generated by the state, and the state uses a huge and very complicated
Yeah.
Mhm.
formula to create this. And so when you ask, they start in with your cost of living, how your properties are selling, and then they go into how many pupils you have and how many kids you have in special ed, and it's all formulated into
Mhm.
the budgets. So that's where we're at. Anyway.
Perhaps some reading of the school board minutes might tell us at some point. I'm sure there'll be some discussion there.
It'd be interesting to talk to Screen, because when they combined this whole thing, I mean, the ultimate goal was to make us join these other towns to get the school budget down. And it, if this is the way they're doing it, it doesn't seem to reflect anything.
No, well, I think to equalize education
Yeah.
availability and to presumably. One hasn't happened, that's for sure. Anything else? Town reappraisal option.
And speaking part of the formula that we have for the education rate, it's our equalization stats for Westminster with the CLA and the COD. Both are in the need of adjustment, and Ed Clodfeller from Nimerick has given us an option that we should look at. There is upsides for cost and downsides that we won't have a complete reappraisal to start fresh if we do this. But do we need to? That's a quandary. We need to figure it out and figure out if the dollars spent to do this option is going to meet all our needs, or should we go with a complete reappraisal and start fresh?
What additional information do we need to make that decision?
I haven't had a chance because we've been right out straight to corner our assessor, Al Kudront, to find out what his feelings are. I did talk to both listers, and they both kind of gave us the feeling that they'd like to start fresh. They'd like a complete reappraisal so that everybody's equally being taxed, and that the sales of late aren't hanging over their heads, because some are selling very high and some are selling at market value. So it's changing these figures literally daily. So,
Russ,
but again,
last time we did the townwide appraisal, it was because of the COD came in, and it was only because a few homes sold way over, and they caused us to do it. Before we even got it started, it was almost a year later, we found out that next year it was fine and we didn't have to do it, but we had already committed to have to do it. So I'd like to see us make sure we do enough research that we're not just in a bounce year with just one thing happen, and then next year we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Because that's what, when we get done, we're going, well, what are we going to do? We've already started it. We got to finish it
Right.
on it.
Yeah. Be good to know how much we have in our reappraisal. We have a reappraisal fund too. I don't,
Right.
that's
probably
correct.
doesn't cover it. but-
I have been watching the COD, and it's slowly but surely climbing, and that's why this letter came from Ed.
Wait, what does COD mean?
It's right here somewhere.
Coalition of disbursement.
Oh, it's in here. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, someplace.
yes, exactly. Thank you.
Coalition of disbursement. Okay. Coalition, coefficient?
One's got to do with like the average and the other one is like a hiccup, like you get one that's way
Right.
out of it. I remember last time, it was actually one sale that just put us over the edge, but they were only weighing like a half a dozen sales. I mean, it was so hard to look at it, and years that your sales are way down, it was a year that was harder to look at
Right, exactly.
on it. Be nice to meet with this gentleman sometime as a select board and ask him that question or somebody from that department.
I agree. What's the chances of getting him here?
Very good. I'm sure he
Okay.
would talk to us.
Great.
Okay. Anything else on that issue? Errors and omissions.
In front of you, you have 3 errors and omissions from properties that were not completed correctly at the time of the grand list being lodged. The first one is John and Gloria Cook. They sold their main home and they had a second property. At that point, the second property was already subdivided, so it should have stayed in John and Gloria's name and the main house go to the new owner. Instead, it all went to the new owner, so this errors and omissions is separating the 2 properties. It does not have a adverse effect on our current grand list, but it does have a value of $150,900. You're going to take one at a time?
We'll do
Yeah,
Glorious, right?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I move that we, let's see, I forget how we did this.
The parcel number.
I move, we do errors and admissions on parcels 003079.000. John and Gloria Cook, 164 Church Avenue.
You need a dollar amount too.
Well, I don't
100.
think it's $150,900. What's the dollar amount, Russell?
It is $150,900.
That's the grand list. They're going to change the grand list.
Yeah,
So
To that figure.
So changing to $150,900.
I'll second that.
moved and seconded to approve an error in admissions for parcel, et cetera, 003079.000 for John and Gloria Cook, 164 Church Avenue, to the current grand list value of $150,900. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Russell, you want me to say approved? Is that what I need to write?
Approved, and then your signature, please.
Okay.
Flipping your page over.
Is this the other people who bought John Cook's place? Is that what it is?
Yes,
So originally they had 182 and 150 was combined. Now we're splitting the 2 roughly is what we're talking about.
that's correct.
I'll move that we do the errors and omissions on parcel 003080.000 for Gerhard Adams, or that's last name, first name, sorry.
Adam Gearhart.
Yeah, Adam Gerhard. 137 Church Avenue and change the grand list to 182,200.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we correct the grand list for parcel 003080 for Adam Gearhart, 137 Church Avenue, to the current grand list value of $182,200. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That's approved.
The last one is for Eddie Cutler. He sold the garage, not the land underneath it, to a friend. And again, the errors and omissions is taking those 2 properties and separating them. Eddie Cutler did not get a bill, and this gentleman that owns just the garage, just the building, got the whole thing. So this is splitting them again, splitting them evenly the way they should be. And again, it won't have a adverse effect on the grand list. It is just literally putting the 2 properties back into the right owners.
Mhm.
And its current list value is $116,500.
I'll move that we do errors omission on parcel 3015000 or .00 for Eddie Cutler on 1644 Route 121 and change the grand list to 116,500.
Second.
Moved and seconded to correct the grand list on parcels 30015.000 owned by Eddie Cutler on 1644 Route 121 to the current grand list value of $116,500. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's also approved.
Thank you.
Mhm. All righty. Managers report.
Just a couple quick things. As we were said, the guardrail is installed in its entirety on Henwood Hill. Number two, the town was questioned for dumping fill in wetlands. This past week, the state of Vermont's A&R received the complaint, and Chuck and I visited with the A&R representative and determined that the accusation was false, that we were not dumping in a 1 or 2 class wetlands. We were dumping in a class 3 wetlands, which is acceptable and a normal practice. So it's just an FYI that did come across us. I just want to mention again, we have masks. We still have a lot of masks from the Vermont Cloth Face Coverings for Everyone program. They're in the town hall. Please come and ask for them. We also have some black masks that we're giving out also, so you could get at least 2 per person for the town. As we reported last meeting, we had a school bus in the town forest. The bus has been removed, but the trash was left. I am working with Windham County Sheriff to rectify that problem, but if it's not, we are geared up to clean up the mess before winter to keep our forest clean, and we'll be invoicing the cleanup to the appropriate parties.
Thank you. Boards and commissions,
I have nothing to report at this time.
other business? Chuck, you came in. Did you have anything you wanted to report?
Your signs are up. They just got put up today.
No,
What?
for
What's that?
No, unauthorized motor.
Oh, okay.
for
I was
Kimball.
thinking Henwood's Hill. Okay. Yeah, no, we were talking about some other signs before you came in. So, yeah,
We were thinking you were really good.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, we're going to visit Henwood's Hill again, so discussion, you probably know, so. Any other business?
Susan,
Okay, to the next. Yep, go ahead.
Nate Stoddard. Before you go into executive session, can I get a clarification on what that executive session is for?
Yes, we're discussing the pay for the interim town clerk and the assistant town clerk.
So both have budgets already that have been voted on by the select board. Yeah,
Right.
residents in this town.
Yes,
And the town clerk is a elected position. So I'm not
More.
sure the elected position's salary is an appropriate deliberative session conversation.
right, but at this point, she's appointed because she's appointed as the interim town clerk. So the
Well,
select,
Nate kind of right. Nate,
I don't believe it's an appropriate deliberative session. You can do what you want, but just please note in the minutes that I don't believe it's an appropriate deliberative session.
where
Thank
the
you.
money is in that budget line, you're right, Nate, but we're moving positions around to see who gets it, if that makes more sense.
It does, but that's an elected position.
Not one of them.
Not one of them, but one of them is.
Right.
And your line item budget for the salary for the clerk that's been approved,
Mhm.
your, I guess what I'm understanding is that you're thinking you're gonna pay this person less? I mean, because you can't more, because you got a budget.
Mm,
You're not
No.
gonna just continue to pay them the line item budget that was set in place for that position, regardless of who it is. What are you gonna do? Lower it?
I
I-
don't think that was the plan.
No, but the question will be too, if we have an interim, another one, is there overlap in it? And
And
That-
will it be
right,
salaried or a wage position? That's what it is.
Will there be a decision at the end of your executive session on this?
I'm assuming we'll have a decision, yes.
Because I would think a wage
Mhm.
implementation for any position would have to be a public meeting vote.
So according to our town council, it should be noted the new town clerk will serve until the next general election. There's no requirement that the newly appointed town clerk or assistant clerk receive the same wages as their predecessors. The select board have the discretion to consider the training experience of newly appointed clerk and assistant clerk within the constraint of the line item salaries as approved by the voters.
And that's exactly what I was saying. So
Good. Yeah,
I
we're on the same page.
think there's a fine line there, but you guys walk it.
Okay. So as far as a decision, unclear, but we may. So I can't say that we won't, put it that way. Anything else?
No.
Okay, so we'll go into executive session.
that's a good one. Yeah,
What
where do we
about
meet?
the theft? board's coming out of executive session. No decisions have been made.
Yeah.
Do you have a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we adjourn the select board meeting.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. We adjourn the meeting at 7:45. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We're adjourned.